Hello and welcome back to Banished, everyone. This game has been giving me some recording problems already, and we're just going to keep trying to push through and push these episodes out. So, what I've been doing in between episodes is expanding on our production area here at the food and processing section of this farming town. It's going to be slowly upgraded into more of a city-like thing, but right now this northern section of the river is just all of like the bakeries, the butchers, and some of the docks for cargo and exporting. So, you know, if this is the main food hub for our overall region, which it hopefully will be, they need to have a good dock, and that's what I've been working on here. So I've been trying to expand using the watermills and the trading docks here over to this large warehouse-like structure, and we are using jetties, which are different than the wooden planks that we've been using up in the more northernly river town. And this has a lot of loading and unloading capabilities, a wide bank in the river, not wiver, I don't know, was I thinking wyvern or river? Anyways, this large turn here creates a really nice space to allow larger ships to dock. At least that's my theory anyways. And over here we have a nice little cargo ship being loaded up over on the right side. And we're just trying to integrate the river as much as possible, but also less so than, say, the more northern item. So we follow the road along the river here. It has been many, many years because Banished is just a time kind of game. You know, you had to wait for food productions to kick in and things like that. You can see a lot of this is really getting overgrown. You know, it's pretty hard to see this road going along the river, but it is there, and they are using it to get up into this area. And this is, of course, kind of where we left off last time. What's this? It looks like we have some weird texture thing being shown through here. I'm not sure what's causing the Z fighting. I can see the road poking through in areas. That's a little weird. Yeah, that's really, really, really weird. I might have to look into that. Anyways, beyond that kind of oddity there, I might try to just use the roads instead of the 2D tiles. You guys also say that helps with the lag. So if we cut that down, I think that'll be best going forward. Back here towards the farming town, we have been working on clearing out a whole bunch of land to the left. I went ahead and built the church because this is going to be kind of the centralized area. And then it will just kind of move over towards the left and just kind of finish wrapping around this way along the river. So it's going to be a fairly large kind of city, or very large town, you could say. You know, and if it doesn't really have quite a lot of tall buildings, it might not be considered a city. It just might be a sprawling town. But I've also been messing around with farms and trying to get our look that I want to use going forward. So this is the small farm, or at least what I think should be the small farm. We have 3 fields, and each field uses 1 worker, and they are at the size of 9 by 13. I'm using odd measurements to try and keep things centered up here, and that's to center up these gates and to help make it look a little bit more dynamic. You can easily align these in different ways, such as this field over here, to make different shapes and different homesteads producing, well, initially wheat. That's kind of our main food source right now. However, we're still having a food shortage. Actually, it's quite a major food shortage, and we need to start addressing that soon, hopefully. We want to also go ahead and get some new homes constructed up on this northern edge and slowly fade out this gatherer's hut, because this is going to be replaced eventually. So that's why I removed all these tiny shacks. In fact, I should remove this stockpile as well. So let's do that. And that'll help things along. We'll have a nice kind of covered pathway, kind of entrance into the main residential curve of the town itself. And then we'll have kind of the civic quarter, and that will slowly wrap around with some more homes all the way to the other side. This bridge is giving me so much trouble, and I don't know why. These sides aren't lining up correctly, so we'll get rid of, I think, the right side here. Maybe extend the bank out to try and match this one more. In fact, let's just get rid of them both and make sure the bank is perfectly squared and aligned. That'll probably help us in general and make that squared up. Alright, so we'll just go ×2 speed. I'm really just waiting for a trader to come along, because right now, as people are building and getting things sorted, we have 70 laborers right now. But with the food shortage, we're going to have quite the influx of deaths soon. But while we're waiting, I need to get some of these fences built along these farmsteads. And this is just, you know, the detailing that we want to try and go through. I'm using colonial walls, and I want these to actually be functional. And the reason for that is that I like to see people taking dedicated paths for items. So these two gates will be there. This is a small problem. I think we'll have to use a ghost fence for this section, just because it's in front of that house, and that's going to create an issue. Also want a gate there, and possibly just straight across from this one, like that. And that's going to create a whole bunch of access points into this farm. Cool. Oh, looks like we have our trader arriving now. I have to use these single tile walls because these wider ones have clippable sides to them. And that's not what we want. We don't want people to be walking through these areas. So, trader up here, he has a lot of food. So, I think he should have food. No. No, he doesn't. Leave. I want nothing to do with you. You don't have anything I want. Kind of a shame. Down here, no trader down here just yet. We're just kind of scraping by the skin of our teeth. Ah, good. This corner building is constructed. And I want to make something here in this open spot that's kind of opening up, and that'll transition and spot itself out kind of as the entrance of the town. And we'll have to transition this northern road into a country path up through the wilderness to get to our very first town, because people do migrate between this town and town number 1 all the way up to the north. They don't take the Riverside road because that's actually really out of their way. And so they've just been walking through the woods, and that slows them down quite a lot. So if we can get a dirt path up through there, that would be best. But you can see, you know, a constant flow of people on this road itself. So they are using it, even though it's curved and a little inefficient because of it. I'm just happy that they are going along it. Okay, over here. Let us continue laying down our fence. I'm getting distracted just by talking to you guys, but I suppose that's a good thing. A lot of things to try and cover in this episode that we want to try and do. I want to try and lay out some more farms, and all of our first farms are going to be wheat only. Okay, so there is that. And we got this stuff along here. Alright, need the tri-angled fence there, and we need a corner for this and this. And we just have kind of this loose dirt road leading into this area. And these farm homes only have 2 or 3 most kind of max people living here. And so I added these town abodes, which will help supplement and make sure we have farmers for sure living in these areas, because you want them living close to their fields, and you know, you don't want them too far from their workplace. Though I don't see them working. That could be a problem. I'm sure it's fine. It's perfectly fine. We have a trader here. You don't have anything that oh, you have some canola mussels, so we could possibly trade for that. So let's just trade everything we got. So 2,144. So 2,000 mussels and 144 canola. There. And they'll unload that. That'll buff our food supply a little bit. We have a lot of dry goods to try and sell and get rid of, so I'm pretty happy to trade for food. I think that's totally worth it. We're gonna lose this bridge soon. In fact, you cross the bridge before trying to destroy it. That is risky. That is very, very risky of you. Wow, all these laborers down here. Having 70 laborers is pretty nice. They're just carrying a whole bunch of stuff. You're carrying fish. You're carrying some meat. I am a little worried about these fields. They may not be laid out quite right. And if that's the case, we may run into some problems down the line, because we want to get this wheat sorted out so we can get bread going and flowing from this town to everywhere else. Alright, and the three-way junction there. And we'll just follow along the already predetermined path to create a nice fence. I'm using the colonial wall because having this kind of cobbly stoned fence itself with a wooden element on top makes it look fairly like a farmstead. So I think it makes some sense, at least. If you guys have another design, you know, I could be using possibly the other wooden fences here. But I'm liking these low-lying ones. They look pretty nice. Alright, all the way down. And there we go. So that's all the fences. We need 105 builders right now to construct this. We will bump that up to 15. Just 15 builders. I think that's plenty. There's a lot of foundations laid over here, so we can get to that relatively soon. I also want to grab our road for stone. We'll continue this out 9 from its current position, and this will be kind of the exit towards the farmland. And then from here we can, I believe, just start doing this. We'll go down about 15 and we'll start following this river back along to where that bridge is going to be. So I think a 3, and then we'll just have to continue this 2 sort of block junction and then another 3. And so this is how you work these curves to make hopefully what you want. Now the problem with using curved roads is that they are hard to build along because you have a lot of jagged edges here. That's an okay S-bend. I have made better in my day, but it will suffice. So 3, then another 2, another 2, and then 3 here. We might need a 4th 2x2 there. That would be better, I think. 2, 2, 3, and 3. And that will connect just like that. So a little bit of a winding road here. I could have also just done more of an angle here, just along that. But I wanted something close to the river in this section because we might put some dock elements. I don't want to cover this whole river with dock elements. I want to kind of keep it spaced out. So this lowest bend here is not going to have anything. Might put stuff along this edge though. Yeah, you can go away now. I don't really need you anymore. This yield is doing okay. Farmers are working there. Where are your workers? You live right there, but where are you? You're getting something to eat. I don't know, maybe you're just waiting for that to grow? How about this field? Where's the worker here? Oh my goodness. Did you go all the way to the north to get food? Okay, that's the main problem right now. If our trade routes aren't operating at a good efficiency and we don't have an abundance of food, what's going to happen is people are going to travel away from their workplace and home all the way up there just to get a bite to eat. That's a problem. Okay. Also, there's still a lot of people that live up north that travel down south, so we want to try and fix that as soon as possible. Let's grab this here, and then an inside bend and an ending point, just like that. I do like to use these homes that go over the pathway. It interacts with the path itself, and then also kind of provides a neat, just aesthetic. So we'll have a nice L-shaped home there. That'll bring some more population down south. Since this is now officially kind of the exit point, we need to decide on more farmsteads along here. So dirt road going this way. Let's go 3, then 2, then 1, then 2, then 3. So that'll hook up in a nice little bend there. And then this road can continue kind of towards this direction. We can make a dirt path leading to this door. That'll work out for us, I think. Can I harvest this yet? No. Plenty of builders still needed. About 100 of them. So this is just the time-consuming section. And what I want to also do, there is a pond. Ponds can be quite country. So putting this along the road might be a reason that they curved around it rather than going straight. And then it also will provide us with some food. I don't know with how much food. I never built one of these before. So, do I put it like this or like this? I think we'll offset it a little bit just so it's a little bit more dynamic with the fence next to it. And we'll put it just like that. That should work just fine. We got some people getting cold. We're running low on clothes. We're running low on food. We're just running low on everything. I'm starting to think these gates actually aren't working. Because these people aren't coming here into the fields. Now, it also could be because they are constantly hungry, and by the time they go up to the town to get food and come back down here, they eat it, and then they're like, I'm hungry again, and then they have to leave again. But that's also why I kind of want to build a pond in this area. We might also want to build a hunter's lodge of some kind. And this variant does look like it belongs out here, kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it does work for us. It's a fairly large area. In fact, we're going to move that a little bit. I think on the other side. No, because that would be right across from the pond, and then that's just too much right in that little area. I think it is definitely better to have it somewhere else. Maybe here. But since it's so close to the town that we're making, it's a little inefficient. Yeah, I like that spot better. It fills in that gap. And you can fill this in with more details, decor developments and things. Where are you? You're gathering food. No surprise. Where are you? You're getting something to eat. And where are you? You are gathering fuel. Look at that. This town is so not self-sufficient yet, and that it actually becomes a hassle. And that's the problem with what I am doing a little bit, and is because I want to make it a little challenging for us. It's going to be a little bit of a problem whenever you want to expand. You know, you're going to run into something small that's just going to delay you, and then Banished becomes a bit of a waiting game. I'm going to put a fuel stockpile back here behind this abode, just so they don't have to hopefully walk as far. In fact, we'll put yet another one just right there, because you want to try and have things close by so that they don't have to waste a lot of time traveling to the north and back. We're not getting much wheat at all, if any, really. I mean, luckily our climate isn't too harsh, so the farms don't die too quickly, which will be good for the long run. But initially it's going to be a little rough for us. Ah, good. We are done here, so that means I can level out this terrain. Yeah, it looks like that was definitely why this bridge was not working for us. So we will now go ahead, use a left side, use a right side. Perfect. Child has died from starvation. We got 70 labors. We don't need another one right now. We're actually doing really well, surprising. In fact, we're going to bump it up to about 20 builders at this point, just to speed things along. ×2 normal speed is about the fastest I feel comfortable recording, by the way. So that is another reason this series might slow down a little bit because of that. But hey, we don't have any homeless people anymore. That's good. Okay, we need, I think, some interesting buildings along this main drag. So let's find some sort of large food processing building that looks cool and will fit. Is this dairy? Yeah, that's dairy, so it would be a little pointless to have another one. That is oil. Sugar house? What do you need? Sugar refinery. Builds a sugar refinery. No, sugar house. Sugar house processes sugar cane and sugar beets into sugar and maple syrup into syrup. Nah. Soup kitchen. Salting house. I believe we already have one of these. But it might be good to do. That's fish only, and so what I can do is change this drying one. Instead of using fish, we can change that later on to use a different meat. And we can even check out, we got a preservist here for jam. We got oil press. What else do we have at our disposal? A flax gatherer. Here is a medieval water tower. I actually prefer this little water tower more, to be honest, though. So we'll put that there. Tropical greenhouse. Yeah, don't have to worry about that. We're just trying to fill in some dead spaces, make this place look a little bit more complete. Like this corner here needs some details, but that'll come in terms of like boxes and crates like we have along this dock here. Let's head over to the left side. Oh good, all these fences are being built. And that's going to look good. Let's make that ghost image now. So, ghost gate. Ghost corner. And then wall and wall. I think that's all I need. What's this? A diagonal wall. Ooh, that's nice. And a diagonal corner. And turn. And this makes it go back to 90. That's good. That's good. A lot of options with that colonial wall there. So that is being constructed. We can think about maybe... Let's look at some possible water buildings that can go along here and use some of them. I believe there should be a key-like structure somewhere here. Pub kitchen. Oh, that's pretty nice. Distillery. All these inns and things. Luxury goods. So, quay buildings. Which we can't build because we don't really have that ability. I wish we had rice. Because rice farms along here would make sense. It's a grain too, and we can process that down. Maybe along the southern portion, we can put some rice fields. Dock workshop, rice wine, still. Yeah, see, these are too rustic, I think, for this area. Doesn't really match the lighter woodwork that we're doing. What else do we got? Oh, silkworm, shore house. Could go for another shore house. Stables and things. We can put a stables. We're gonna need one anyways. In fact, we can manually fence this in and put a stables along it. That might be cool to do. Maybe even put a field here. That way we can have some horses. And we do have that horse stall, so if a boat comes in, we can do that option. Sorry I'm not really committing to anything right now. I'm just more or less waiting for people to die of starvation, and for these fields to start making us some much needed wheat. Because I think they're just straight up eating it. Like they're literally not saving it at all. And if I go to the town hall, which I think is up here, and go to production or inventory, and we can find wheat. Yeah, we don't have any of it. So that's not gonna go anywhere. We have a whole bunch of reeds though, and a whole bunch of lumber, which we can slowly start getting rid of. Same with salt. So that is an option for trade goods, so that we can continue to buy our food. The trader is just now reaching the northern town, so we can take a look at this. Nothing. Silkworm eggs. I'm intrigued. Because silk might be something we are interested in. Alright, get out of here. Silkworm. So this raises silkworms to make silk and as a last resort for food requires silkworm eggs from a trader to build. When built, silkworms require white mulberry leaves as food. This can be traded for or come from an orchard. Well, we can't do that yet. So I basically traded away 80 or so flax for nothing. Nothing too terrible about that trade. Actually, it was a good trade, to be honest. Got a good deal on that one. 0 wheat yield. This one's still kind of broken. I feel like the fields might be broken in general. Where are you at? You're gathering food. You know, you could grow your food. It's just a thought. All right, let's take some of these out so I can see where all we need to build this new road that'll take people up to the northern point of the villages. I'm really tired of seeing people walk through these woods at a very slow pace, so we need to correct that as soon as possible. So what I'm going to do, it's already been 30 minutes. It is kind of a slow episode, so I'm going to continue to play for a little bit. We'll come back and maybe do like a couple minute look-see at the progress that I've made, and you guys can tell me what you think at the end. A few years later, and a few less people, here we are. The past while has been going so poorly for me, and it's my fault, you know. I'm building and doing things in very inefficient ways and kind of forcing expansion to happen quickly. So what I'm gonna do is slow down so that we can focus on generating food for the long term through these farms. But to do so, I'm having people go through the education system all the way through. Previously, you know, when I needed something done really quick, I would shut down the schools and kind of just throw people out there, which is fine. But the problem being that my population ended up being about 20% educated, and that becomes an issue when a lot of those professions and things are just less efficient that way. So we're going to go ahead and start educating all of our citizens moving forward, and I'm going to attempt my best to never shut down a school. Now currently we do have 2 schools, and both of them are full. Now this is fairly common, and I do want to end up making a 3rd school, especially since we're going to have another town down here near this area, and that is in the plan. But for now, I think having 2 almost constantly full schools is good. The nice thing about having this is that some people will fully mature and skip school and will become a laborer a little bit sooner. But we will have a good rotation over time of people being educated, and that's just going to help out as a whole. Now, other than that, what else has happened? Our fields are doing okay. They're slowly starting to produce wheat. I have this one field that doesn't really want to do anything, but our food situation has mostly recovered. It took losing about 100 citizens, which we were prepared for. We had about 70 laborers, so it wasn't too much of a panic, but I've just been kind of buying food and stockpiling this, so when the next wave hits, we are prepared and well spread out in our resources to make this viable. Just check the trader real quick. Nothing too interesting. The building supplies are, we don't have any of that yet. So let's go with 100 lumber and 65 reeds, and that's going to give us 3 building supplies. Building supplies are kind of a higher tier resource used to upgrade certain buildings. Like, for example, I believe the abodes. Yes, 1 building supply, you can upgrade them to nicer townhomes, which is something I want to look into doing eventually. So having a few building supplies now, I think, is going to help us in the long run. You'll see I've marked all these gates for destruction, not because they're not necessarily working. You can see workers do make it into the other areas, but I think it will just help their pathfinding a little bit in the long term. So we're going to replace all these gates with the transparent ghost versions, just so they have a wider entryway into their farmland. Now, when we get more of these, I think I want to have 5 kind of sets of 3 of wheat fields. So 15 total wheat fields, and that'll be 15 total farmers. And then at that point, we'll switch to different crops that will give us different resources, because we'll be transforming this wheat into bread. At least that's the plan. We'll see. Things may change on the fly, as it tends to do. Also, what I've been doing a little bit is I made this small little connecting point in between the 2 towns here in the forest. And this just has double gatherer's hut, which is a trick basically to get an artificial increase of food supply in dead areas that you're not necessarily using yet. And since our towns are so spread apart, we have a lot of these dead areas. Technically, I can put a gatherer's hut just every so often, and our food supply will be forever solved, but that's not what I want to do. I enjoy the challenge of kind of working around and planning this all out slowly. We got the awesome town up here. A lot of these professions are turned off just so we can throw as many people as we could into labor during the Great Famine. But our food is recovered, so we are doing fairly well yet again. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode of Banished. If you guys like this series, feel free to leave a like down below. Leave a comment on how poorly I'm playing, because it's a little pathetic. I think I just focused on growth a little too quickly, and I need to slow it down. And the fact that this new town is so far away from the previous 2 that it is creating quite the significant delay on getting resources down there. So I might have to build a possible other market just so we can get a good trade going down to the southern region. Anyways.